You may find this very difficult to believe. Depends on where you are in your networking career, how long you've been doing it. And if you don't have one, that's great. It's a great way to get started. But once upon a time, there was actually a time you could go out to Cisco's website, peruse the iOSs, and just download one any darn time you felt like it. And that was a long time ago. It has gotten complicated, more complicated in some ways, to get the iOS image you want, but it's gotten better in some ways as well. And one problem was in the past, if you wanted the IP fundamentals along with voice capabilities, that was one feature set. If you wanted security features added to that, that was another feature set. I mean, buying a new Cisco router could be very intimidating, especially if you hadn't done it before, because you're just going through all the feature sets and you're thinking, okay, does this have what I need? Does this have what I need? Does this have what I need? And naturally, the greater the capabilities of the feature set you purchased, the more money you had to cough up. It makes sense. But there were really two things going on there. You didn't want to buy feature sets that didn't include the capabilities you needed, and at the same time, you didn't want to pay for features that you weren't going to use. Now, the new way of doing things, as with iOS 15, it's not without controversy, but what is? It's the Cisco Universal Image. You get one image, and you pay for the features you want to use. And then Cisco gives you a key that will unlock the features you paid for while keeping the others secure. From you, that is, unless you give them more money. Now, everybody likes to be paid for their work. I'm on Cisco's side or anybody's side in that regard, because hey, I don't like it when people download my courses illegally from BitTorrent sites, anything like that, because that takes money out of my pocket, and in turn that takes money away from our fund drive for the Central Virginia Food Bank and some other charities we contribute to. So if you're watching an illegal copy of this, go to Feeding America and make a contribution. But I'm all for everybody getting paid for the work, because I like to get paid for mine. But there are people out there blogging, and not without a point, that say, it's just another stream of revenue for Cisco, and perhaps it's getting to be too much. So if you would like to read some of that, and I'm not endorsing that commentary at all, just passing it along, but if you'd like to look into that, see what you think, just go out to Google, do Cisco iOS License 15, something like that. And of course, the first couple of pages will always be Cisco pages. But there are some interesting tech blogs out there to keep up with that you can introduce yourself to with that search. Now, as I mentioned, downloading an image today isn't just a matter of going out to Cisco's site and saying, I'll take that one. Your company has to have a service agreement with Cisco, and even that's not enough, because the agreement must cover the download for the file you want. So if you buy a router, it doesn't mean you just get to go into the Cisco iOS supermarket and pick anything that you want off the shelf. Again, they want you to have paid for that. Now, of the tech package licenses available, you have to start with the IP base license, IP base K9. And that license is the foundation of your router's processes. Without that license, the other packages are useless. And license suites are also available, and many ISRs, are integrated service routers. They run what we call the Network Essential Suite, and that contains your security, unified communications, the more important by the moment MPLS in Data K9, and then the application experience features. So let me go down, scroll down just a bit here, hold on. There we go. Now let's talk about these license types and processes a bit. It's not always necessary to go through online software activation with a new Cisco router. If you buy a permanent license via the Cisco Online Sales Tool when you're choosing your router and your iOS, the key and the code are pre-installed. And when you pop that baby out of the box, it's ready to go. I like to go that way when I can, because the keys and everything like that usually work fine, but it's just if this doesn't work, I got to call tech support, and then we got to, did you pay for this license? Did you put it on another router? Argle, floggle. So I'd rather they did it. But if you choose to add something later, you have three options for that. We have the Cisco License Manager, CLM, the Cisco Product License Registration Portal, and Cisco Call Home. And this allows the router to communicate directly with the Cisco Product License Registration Portal. It's pretty cool. Now, the Cisco License Manager, that's a GUI that helps you keep track of your licensing. And that may not sound like much to you, especially if you've never handled the licensing for an enterprise network. But in an enterprise network, keeping up with your licensing can be quite the enterprise. See what I did there? But seriously, it's a lot of work, and the CLM really helps you keep up with that. Once you go CLM, you'll probably never go back, and you'll probably never go back to the command line for activating licenses. but license activation can be handled manually with a little help from the Cisco Product License Registration Portal. Now, courtesy of Cisco's website, here is their 4-step process for manually activating a license. And note the first word in the entire process is purchase. Naturally, you got to purchase your PAC, your product authorization key for the license you need. Then you have to get the unique device identifier, the UDI, from your router with the show license UDI command. Then you just head out to Cisco's Product License Registration Portal and you enter the PAC and the UDI information is prompted. And the portal is going to send you a license file which you can then install via the command line with the install license command. Now, what is that UDI? Here's another numeric value for us. The UDI is the product ID, the PID, and the serial number, the SN. Now, if show license UDI doesn't work for you for some reason, you can check the back of the hardware for a panel that displays that information. And your particular model might have that information somewhere else, so if you just don't see it, just check your model's documentation. But as you can see, I put show license UDI here, and your PID and your SN are going to be right there. And there's the UDI, so all the information that you need is right there. And I hate to mention this since I know you know, but during step 4 here, you've got to make that license available to your router. And we'll probably do that with a TFTP server and a web HTTP server if you want, etc. Rehosting is better than regifting. We've all been through this, probably with a laptop, and I don't just mean with Cisco license, I mean with anything. It certainly happened to me. Step 1, you purchase software. Step 2, you install it and you start using it and you're very happy with it. Step 3, you buy a new laptop, and step 4, you're thinking, I really want that software over on my new laptop, but I don't want to have to pay for it again. I don't have to buy it again. Well, this happens pretty often, and a lot of software vendors have actually made this a much friendlier process. SmartDraw, for any of you who are in the market for a Visio-like product, this is not a paid plug. SmartDraw is not only a wonderful tool, but they're really good about this. It was very easy to move licenses with them. And this includes Cisco now, because you can move a license from one router to another via rehosting. And you're going to need to use the Cisco Product License Registration Online Portal to make that happen. Now, naturally, when you move the license, one of the first things that happens is you got to revoke the license on the router that it's on now. And from Cisco's site, here's the entire 6-step process. You got to get that UDI again for the source and destination devices with show license UDI. Then you're going to go out, you're going to enter that data as prompted on the product license registration page on Cisco's website. You're going to use the license transfer portal tool to make that happen. Now, once you choose the license to be transferred, you're going to be issued a permissions ticket by the portal. Then you're going to use license revoke to do just that to the source device, which in turn is going to give you a rehosting ticket. Then you enter the rehost ticket into the license transfer portal along with the destination router info as prompted, and after you get the new license key via email, you install it. I would not be too concerned about memorizing all 6 of those states, but it's a good idea to know kind of what's going on. And again, I would like to walk through that with you again. Just use show license UDI to get the UDI information. You go out to the product license registration page and use the portal tool. Put that data in. You choose your license. It's going to be transferred. The portal is going to give you a permissions ticket. Then you've got to revoke the license on your source device, and that's going to give you a rehost ticket. You put that rehost ticket into the license transfer portal, and after you get the new license key via email, you put it in. Now, as of this writing/recording, Cisco gives you 60 days to totally revoke the source router's license, which gives you more than enough time to complete the transfer. We really don't have many excuses we can make for not getting it done in a 60-day period. There is no guarantee that policy will continue, however, so if you're really depending on that 60-day grace, and maybe even if you're not, you want to check Cisco's website for the latest licensing information. They do have something called Right to Licensing I want to chat with you about for a minute. And I have a command or two here on the screen for you. Cisco has 2 licensing formats, one of which we've discussed, that permanent license. And that only requires you to accept the EULA, the End User License Agreement. You reboot the routers, you're off to the races. Now, I know that you read the entire EULA, right? Sure. They're getting longer and longer by the day, aren't they? But I like the ones that make you at least pretend to read it. You have to scroll down before the part enables where you can check the box that says you've read it. I love those. But Cisco does allow the use of evaluation licenses, which is nice. And you can work with the software for a given period of time, usually 60 or 90 days. Every single one I've seen has been 60. Every piece of documentation I've seen on Cisco's site talking about is 60 days. But I guess the 90-day ones are out there because one piece of documentation I was looking at did mention it. As you would expect, you cannot rehost an evaluation license. Nice try, though. A couple of commands I want to run by you here as we wrap this one up. The commands to install the licenses differ. For a permanent license, you're going to use the license install command. And for an evaluation license, you're going to use the license boot module technology package command. So license install is strictly for your permanent license. Again, as you dive into these, as we move on in iOSs, you may want to check Cisco's website for information about your particular model and changes in this thing, because I don't expect this to stay static. And this is probably more than you need to know for the CCNA exam. But I would always check Cisco's website before I did anything else with licensing and production networks and with their GUIs, because things do change, rules do change, and you want to be on top of that so you don't spend a lot of time unnecessarily troubleshooting. That finishes our look at licenses. I'll see you on the next vid.